Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome everyone to round 2 of the Apex Racing League GT Trophy Series. My name is DJ Clark alongside David Whitehouse with Dennis Branch working as our director and producer behind the scenes. And after a chaotic first round in the dark, we are here live at the virtual Watkins Glen circuit, ready for some daytime racing. And David, this track always seems to produce some fantastic action for these GT cars, and indeed whatever kind of car you decide to put out on it.
Yeah, good evening everybody. Yeah, this circuit is a driver's circuit, especially with this boot section added on that we have here tonight. And what a grid of cars, over 40 drivers on the grid tonight, mixed between the three classes as we had at the opening round. And at least they've got the sun shining to make that visibility just that little bit easier.
Yeah, indeed, and that will certainly help everything out. We are ready here to get going in qualifying for this series, and it is going to be an open qualifying session, so watch for the draft to be pretty crucial here as they go from the 90 all the way up into the inner loop. That's right, we are running with that bus stop chicane there, the inner loop, so that's going to be a big storyline to be able to watch both through qualifying and the race. Very, very tricky to get right, and well, it feels a little bit like an old hat at this point, but we should probably talk about the new scan that has been put in here and the changes that it has made to the track, as it has certainly made this a different circuit altogether to drive.
Yeah, it certainly has, and you've got things like the track limits are completely different, and things, you know, the curbing's different, especially going into this chicane. As you just saw by the Ferrari there, you can literally take so much curb entering it, but that can upset the car on the exit, then you're going to get a penalty on the exit. So it's a lot smoother than it used to be, a lot less changes in tarmac, so a little bit of a less of an unexpected surface change as you come around the corners. And of course, we can't forget, like I've just said, a huge group of cars, so it's going to be a challenging race all along the hour that we have here tonight.
Yeah, it certainly will. And there you saw coming up out of turn 8, the heel of the boot, one of those areas that you mentioned where there is a lot more runoff. That has really may turn 8 into a little bit of an overtaking opportunity, if anything else, which has made things very, very interesting. These same the same final corners there, relatively the same, just a little bit more curbing. You can run a little bit wider on the exit of turn 10 now. As we go down here into the 90, watching Paul Collinshaw working that Ferrari around, getting ready to go. Collinshaw obviously down in the amateur category. We do have those 3 categories out there: the Pro-Am, and the Am.
Yeah, the 3 different categories, and with this mixed qualifying session, you're not going to want to get stuck behind a driver who you dictate has been slower or is slower than you, even though the classes are quite close together anyway. And you can see here Scott Winness just up behind a car. Now that's going to be great for this straight bit, but you don't know what that car's in front is going to do through this chicane, for example, where you have to have the confidence to throw yourself in. So he may have just had to take it that little bit easier than he may normally have done.
And indeed, it looks like he lost out a little bit there, just losing some time. Some brake smoke up in the air. Somebody getting the outer loop a little bit wrong there, I think, by the looks of it. Blind S there, obviously, for Track Scotland. Here comes Pascal Ebener, one of the Delta Sport drivers out there, Delta Sport staff, as he works his way up the S's. This flat out section, this is not only going to be crucial here in qualifying to get that tucked up behind in the draft, as you said, but I think it's going to be one of our biggest overtaking opportunities when we get to the race itself.
It is a great opportunity into this bush stop chicane at the top. You do have to be willing and favourable to each other, I would say, coming in there, because the person on the racing line is just going to sweep in, and it doesn't always go with a hard charging driver who might not give enough space. But you can see here the 2 cars working together as well as teammates, both in the Audis, pulling each other along. We're starting to get the lap times in as well. But yeah, like you say, that chicane, great overtaking spot. And to be honest, I don't think there's many corners on Watkins Glen where you couldn't take a dive if you really wanted to. So it's a great track for overtaking, and I think the final corner is probably the hardest one of them all.
I have to agree with you there. It's a brush breaking corner. You always seem to try to want to go in and take less speed than you actually need going in there. As we got the first couple of times coming onto the board, Niekamp able to be at the top of the pros, Chris Gooch the top of the Pro-Ams, and Collinshaw at the top of the Ams right now. Some relatively close times coming in there. Looks like Gooch has come out. Regenwetter been able to take that top spot away from him for now in the Pro-Ams, though some very, very close times being set.
Yeah, some super close times. I mean, we have a look. Cowlis Shaw's not even 2 seconds off Niekamp at front of the field, and Cowlis Shaw is down overall. I'm just trying to look for him. He's 14th currently on the grid, but obviously we have a lot of drivers still to set times. And that's the AM category to the Pro category, as Lucas Lang, the returning driver from last season's Pro category, is up into 2nd place. And it's good to see Lucas back in the Porsche. He was the only driver who really nailed that Porsche in the Pro category last year and could pull results out of it like nobody else could in that one car. So it'd be interesting to see how Lucas gets on this season. Didn't obviously win the first round. That was Cope who did that. So we'll just have to see what happens in this 2nd round. It's early days.
It is indeed early days, and as we watch one of those Porsches, the 123, working its way around right now. Yeah, the Porsche, not exactly the most favorite car out here. A lot of Lamborghinis, Ferraris, obviously the New Balance performance coming in with 2022 Season 2, changing up the GT3s a little bit. That is going to be something that we are going to be talking about, I'm sure, over the course of this race. As there we focus in on the 117 Audi coming to a rest. That Audi gonna have a little bit of a hard time around here, not nearly as rough as it was around Sebring, but that Audi a little bit notorious for not liking curbs, and you've got to be pretty aggressive with the curbing, specifically going through the inner loop at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, you have to be aggressive. Like we said, it was a driver's circuit. It's a circuit you've really got to attack. This corner here is just a strange corner when you drive it, because it looks so simple, but then it's so off camber on the entrance and suddenly flattens off. Yeah, it's very easy to run wide into the barrier. You saw how close again on the final corner. Here comes the 96 across the line, Anders Lear Jordet, who we saw in the Porsche last year, moved to the Audi this year, and just going that little bit better in the Audi just suits him that little bit better.
Yeah, it's all about really just finding that car which suits your driving style a little bit more, a little bit better. You know, the BOP in iRacing done so well as we watch Henrik Lang working his way around one of those Porsche drivers in 1, 2, 3 in that Pro-Am category. It'll take some good runoff there at the exit of the outer loop, coming down now into the chute. Carry the speed through these corners. One of the amazing things about Watkins Glen that we are going to see here, I guarantee you, is the fact that going down into the chute in these areas, you're going to see a lot of opportunities for fight back, a lot of opportunities for side-by-side, as you said, through this whole boot section. Yeah,
exactly. And the switch, most corners at Watkins Glen are followed by one going the opposite direction, which is perfect for side-by-side action, as we now see the BMW all very close to the wall there of Eimer. Just about keeping it out the wall there, but that'll be scrapping that lap. Yes, he does. And just looking at the times, there's nobody setting the world alight on the leaderboard at the moment. No massively quick times. Moses Carabello is out there at the moment, and he was quick in practice in the Porsche. He'll be looking to get up there. And our current Pro Championship leader, Thomas Coper's jumped up into second place in the Lamborghini.
Indeed, he has. So Cope being able to put his name to that, only about a 1/10 of a second off of Louis Meatcamp there. And so that'll be good for him to be able to get that challenge in there. Focusing here on Caraballo, as we said. A little bit surprised to see him this far down, as he was very, very quick in practice. Like you said there, David, I'm a little bit puzzled to see him down in 6th in this pro category.
Yeah, I just wonder if he's just set a few bankers first and then going to push it at the end. Some drivers do like to build themselves up in qualifying, and especially with the hour-long race coming up, it's sort of a progression from qualifying all the way through to the end of the hour. For some of these drivers will look at it that way, and maybe that's something Cabello will be looking at as we now look at one of the lovely McLarens, the 36 of Tom Bingham, who is down in 9th currently in class in the amateur class category, behind actually the top McLaren in that class is our very own Andy Thompson from the commentary box, down onto the track now, and he is up in 7th place. Here he is on the screen, 32nd overall, and doing a good job out there.
Yeah, doing a very good job. Remember, Andy had some good pace last week, fell afoul of some incidents and finished down in the field. Bingham, it's very surprising to see as far down as he is, considering he just wiped the floor with everybody last time out in Sebring in that McLaren. So hopefully some good banker laps coming in for him. Here is Gladden as he works his way around Adam, trying to improve here on a 7th best with a 43.779 right now, bringing that car out of the outer loop. That Lamborghini is a good-looking car to see around here. I'm not going to lie, it always just looks fierce to me.
Yeah, it's a great-looking car, and only 4/10 off the pole position at the moment, and he's down in 7th place. That shows you the close of the Pro-Am category. And also Christian Engelhardt, a guy who shows tremendous pace, isn't going to improve, and he's down in 9th place. So Engelhardt not looking as strong as he could be around here. Just looking at the times at the bottom, Matthias Beer is out there about to complete a lap. He's going quite well. There's nobody else really improving. Lucas Lang setting yellow sectors at the moment, so that's not one to worry about. Matthias Beer goes 10th place, but we're back to Tom Gladden. Eimer in the amateur category now. We'll see what he can do. Lear Jordet is going a little bit quicker, so we'll probably switch to him at some point. Matthew McBride definitely out of it. So it doesn't seem to be a lot of pace in the end of the session like we normally see.
No, a little bit surprising in that regard, as there comes Lily Jordet coming across the line. Looks like that's going to be a better improvement, but not going to move him up anywhere. Here's Valentini as he brings his car through those final 2 corners, bringing it across the line. That tricky final corner that you talked about as Valentini. You can't get much closer to the line than that. Is he going to be able to improve? It doesn't look like it. He'll stay where he is.
Yeah, that slide out of the final corner just cost him. He would have had to just lift slightly. Niekamp is on a purple sector near the end of a lap. He doesn't improve his... Oh, he does improve his time, only just, though. Oh, as we see somebody spinning into the pit lane in the background. And Lang, the German, goes up into 5th in class. Vos, only 14th in class for the American on his home circuit. And there is Pascal Ebner, who pops it into 13th in the pole category.
And down in that AM category, by the way, Patrick Eimer able to pip himself up to the pole over Paul Collinshaw. So a great run there for him. Really, really, truly impressive.
Yeah, great effort there, Paul Collinshaw. But as we said before, Tom Bingham down in 9th in class. That is a huge shock after what we saw from the opening round.
Indeed it is, and that is going to bring us to your grid here as we just wait for everything to slip on over in that pro category. It is Wiebe Niekamp able to take pole position with a very, very impressive run for him. Directly behind him, it is last week's winner, Thomas Cope, followed by Lucas Lang and Adam Wright, Tom Valentini and Kieran Smart. Moises Caraballo will be in 7th, and then first in class for those Pro-Ams. That's going to be Regenwetter there in P8 overall, so a good run from him. He's going to have Matthew McBride, a pro driver, in between himself and Michael Ass, the second in the Pro-Am. Anders Lindley Jordet will be in 11th, followed by Tim Spesser, in P12. 13th overall will be Stuart Wyness in the Pro-Am category. This is where the Pro-Ams are going to take a lot of their meat here. Greg Hubler, Hedrick Lang, Matthias Beer, there you can see in 16th overall. That is going to be one of the lower placed pro drivers, so look for him to move his way through the field. Chris Gruch and Adam Gladden behind him. Till Beam in 19th. Not a good qualifying there for the German. Roland Schartner and Kristen Egelhart with Arthur Hupke Merle there in 22nd overall. Andrew Broom and Mads Halsen will round out the top 24. Pascal Ebner, another pro driver, not having a good day. And Patrick Eimer, the first of your AM category drivers, with Paul Collishaw there behind him in 27th overall. Navarre Luce in 28th. James Hall and David Gill behind them. And Frisna with Brian Vorse and Alan Mystic and Mads Sire there behind them. Our very own Andy Thompson, only good enough for it, 35th overall. He'll be looking to move his way up through the field with Darren Doherty lining up directly behind him. Now we get into a little bit more of the meat of those AM drivers. Tom Bingham, Mikhail Price, Fernando Torres, Alex Fields, Stefan Anderson, and Colin Sampson round out your 42-car grid. It is a big field out here, David. And as always, we got to talk about it's going to be a little bit of a narrowing down into the 90 off of this first pace lap.
Yeah, exactly. The first corner is a danger zone, shall we call it, round here. But it's not always the first corner round here. If you're side by side through 2 and 3 up the hill, if an accident happens there is nowhere to go. You cannot avoid it because there's barriers either side, cars rebounding everywhere, and you get a replay of Spa 98 with the F1. So it's, I think we saw last season about half the GT Pro field get taken out just on the first lap, which obviously we hope not to see here today, but that shows how dangerous that little bit section, the first 2-3 sections will be, and then you haven't even got to a bus stop chicane at that stage.
Yeah, exactly. Coming up the hill like that can be very, very difficult. Drivers have to be absolutely as careful as possible. This is a one of the older circuits out there, obviously home to Formula One back in the 60s and 70s, but it runs a little bit almost like a street course at different points with the barriers so close, those distinctive blue Armco barriers on either side of the track.
Yeah, exactly. You can see now, but if cars are rebounded off the barrier, there is absolutely nowhere for you to go. And while you might hit the brakes, it doesn't mean the guy behind has seen what's happening, and that is where the concertina effect just comes in. And also, you've got to remember, this is a full pace lap for these guys. Normally you get 2 or 3 corners, but this is a full pace lap, so it just gives them a chance to get a bit more heat into the tyres and things like that. But having a rolling start will just spread them out that little bit more, as we always see in GTs. So it just is whether Niekamp and Cope can get the jump and spread the field out, or whether they'll close it right up until the line.
Well, that's going to be the thing to see here. Remember, with the restart zones that we get going, it will be on the leader's discretion to get himself up and going. Focusing here on James Hall in the middle of the field. And yeah, as you said, if you're starting in the middle of the field here, it's a little bit of just to throw the prayers up and hope that you're going to be able to get through that area. There is Thomas Cope in that Lamborghini, BMW versus Lamborghini, your starting row. Lucas Lang, the first Porsche in the field behind them. Christoph Regenwetter will be your first Ferrari. Audi's not having the best day out here. Lily Jordet and Tim Spesser starting in 9th and 10th in the pro category. Those are your first Audis. So good disparity, though, of these cars. Lots of different areas on this track that should favor each of them.
Yeah. The group of cars we have, I mean, I think we've mentioned there's one Mercedes, maybe two, but there's such a range of cars. And you notice the amateurs and the pro-ams mainly heading towards the Ferrari, because that's one of the first cars you probably get in iRacing, and you get used to it, and it's quite balanced as well. So, but at the front, it's the BMW and the Lamborghini and the Porsche getting ready for the start.
Indeed they are. We beneath camp here, ready to take control of the field. He backs everybody up. Thomas Cope looking over to his right, ready to get going as we wait for the green flag. The iRacing pace car pulls on in, and there goes the flag. We are racing here in Watkins Glen. Not the best start there for Thomas Cope, as he is going to lose out in a position there. That's going to be side by side between himself and Lucas Lang as they dive down now into the 90. The first couple of cars get through nice and cleanly. Michael Ask there, you can see working his way through. Everybody looking nice and clean as they work their way up the hill.
Yeah, here we go. This is the danger zone, and we're still side by side. Lucas Lang getting hung out to drive there, down in 5th place now. Will we all get through this little funnel? It looks like we will do, but Niekamp did the perfect start there, powered out the final corner, and just surprised Cope in going right on the acceleration zone of that corner.
Ooh, Stuart Wyness there trying to hold on to that position over Michael Ask, and not exactly getting it, as he is going to lose out there. He is going to be in position. Ask losing a couple of positions. We've got a little bit of side-by-side here with Valentini trying to work that Lamborghini around the outside, but it is the Porsche there of the 43. That's Moises Caraballo trying to go the long way around the toe of the boot. That can be done. They're going to still stay side by side as they plunge down the hill here into the heel.
Yeah, this is exactly what we're saying. You can keep cars side by side for 2-3 corners, and they will stay side by side as they head up towards this awkward corner here at the change of the circuit. And it's Carabello who takes the position for Valianti, and McBride and Leah Jordet a bit further back. This is Leah Jordet and Spesser having a look up the inside, but it looks like the pros have moved through. Regenwetter is still involved in that battle in 9th place at the moment, and we've got a crash at the back.
Oh, and that is one of those danger zones that you talked about. The track really funnels up there out of turn 9. Oh no, that's Patrick Eimer. That was your AM leader, your AM pole sitter involved in the incident.
Yeah, it looks like it is Eimer and maybe Alan Mystique who have fallen to the back. We'll wait till they come through, but there's also a pit stop for Friese and Vos, and here's a replay of what happened. Here's Patrick Eimer on the inside, and the Ferrari just loses it and he has nowhere to go, restarts, and then that is Mystique running into the back of him with nowhere to go as well. And that's exactly what we talked about. It funnels down and you have nothing to see in front of you.
Indeed, this is Greg Hubler there, and that is Michael Ask behind him, really trying to put some pressure on to that BMW a little bit. Oh, a little bit of a poke there in the back. I believe in the back there. I believe that's Hendrik Lang trying to see if he can get around to the inside. Is Hubler able to pull himself out? A little bit of side-by-side here. Porsche versus Porsche. Ask and Lang trying to fight it out, and oh, that's going to be Lang losing out. That's Matthias Beer, one of your pro drivers in the Ferrari, able to get himself on by.
Yeah, just having a look at the, I was going to say, well, it quietens down, but this is not going to quieten down because we've got Kristen Engelhardt here trying to have to defend off a Audi while going around the outside of one of the Porsches. That's Shatner in front, I think. Yes, it is. And the Audi of Hope Merkel going around the outside. He won't quite make that work, will he? He's going to make it work. A brilliant move by the Audi driver, and he moves up into 9th in class. But just having a look at the overall standings, biggest mover on the opening lap was Fernando Torres up 9 positions, but he was out of position on the grid. The other big mover is Andy Thompson, up to 1st in class in the AM category, up 10 places already.
Good job there for Andy as we now focus in. This is Adam Wright trying to get a little bit of something there, holding off Smart to the best of his abilities as they go. And that was Thomas Cope. Maybe able to take a move for the lead. Thomas Cope up into the lead.
Yeah, the winner from last time out, trying to stamp his authority on the race early on, got up behind Niekamp and took his first available opportunity to take the lead, and now will try and pull away from the BMW behind. Realised that Wright was on his way with Kieran Smart, and he did not want to get involved in that battle.
No, he certainly did not, and he's going to try to pull out that distance as we focus back here on Darren Doherty, working his way around the outer loop right now. He was just able to get past by Fernando Torres up ahead of him, so Torres trying to work his way around a little bit. This is very much, that was David Gill actually that was able to get up on by him. David Gill, one of the AM drivers, and this is where things get a little bit dicey between the pro-AMs and the AMs. We saw this last time out. These amateur drivers able to really put themselves up in the position. As here we've got a little bit of side-by-side. That's Pascal Ebner and Andrew Broom trying to make things interesting in the Lamborghini.
Yeah, he's managed to keep it around the outside. Broom having to defend into the next corner. Like you were saying, that little section around Darren Doherty and David Gill, that is just off the podium of the AM category, where we have Andy Thompson, Navarre Luce and Tom Bingham, who's made huge gains from his qualifying position up into 3rd in class. So here is the AM category. There's Andy Thompson leading the way by 0.4 of a second, but Tom Bingham, who we said dominated last time out, is on his way only 2 seconds back.
Yeah, and I'd keep an eye out for that McLaren behind there. You can see it in the back of your frame, but right now it is Andy Thompson out front here. Ooh, a little bit of bumping and banging up in the pros. That is Wright, Smart, and Caraballo working their way around. Wright's going to be able to hold off going into the inner loop, but Smart and Caraballo on the attack here early on.
Yeah, this group of 3 really need to start working together, or they're going to let the front 2 pull away. That was Anders Lear-Jordet just getting the end of it wrong. Rejoined, and he's rejoined into the side of one of the Scotland cars. That probably was, yes, it was Witness. Witness has lost a position. Lear-Jordet lost 2 or 3. But that is just where you have to be really careful when you rejoin.
Yeah, you've got to be exceptionally careful on the rejoins around this track. We're going to jump back and take a replay of it. This is that move with Willie Jordet. I think he just gets a little bit squirrely coming through the inner loop there. Ooh, you can see the rear end of that Audi does not like those curves.
Yeah, he just saves it, gets it back on, and it's actually just the grass on the tyres and 2 cars merging into one. I don't think there's a lot either. Both could have given a little bit more room there, but both continued and no harm done. As we now look back at Hooper Merkel trying to make his way through the field. He's up behind Gladden, Adam Gladden, for 6th in class, currently moved up 4 positions at the moment in time, and he is really on the move in 117 Audi.
Yes, he is. Ooh, taking a little bit of a look to the outside there of the final corner. Maybe that was a little bit of a move. Maybe that was just trying to carry a little bit more momentum, but he's got to watch out because that's Roland Schartner coming up behind now. Schartner going to get a good run going down into the 90. Can he outbrake the Audi? No, he cannot, but he's certainly shown his nose, and now he starts to pull up alongside again. This could be a straight drag race coming up through the S's.
Yeah, that was sensible by Hooper Merkel. Just left that little bit of space on the exit of the corner. Yes, he may have took an X for that on the track limits, but it was more important not to have the accident. As further up in the Pro-Am class, Stuart Witness has got past Gooch again and back into 2nd place after that contact with the Pro-Am car of Lear-Jordet. So Scott Witness back on the move in the Scotland car.
Indeed, he is. Now, he's got a little bit of work to do. He's got about 1.8 seconds to try to catch up to Christoph Regenvetter up ahead of him, and that was him. You can see there the gap growing a little bit. Oh, we've got a car up and over. That is Engelhardt hard into the barriers coming into the chute.
If Christian Engelhardt didn't have any bad luck, he would have no luck at all. I can't count the amount of times I've seen him have great speed in races and then just something happens. We'll see it here. He runs out wide there and he goes defensive, and does he just get his nose chopped off? Yeah, he just gets his nose chopped off and off he goes. And maybe he could have seen that one coming and backed out just that little bit earlier.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit earlier there for him as we focus back in on the battle for P1. Thomas Cope and Wiebe Niekamp able to pull away here a little bit to the tune of about 2 seconds over Adam Wright. I'm getting the sense here that Niekamp may just be towing behind a little bit, trying to see if he can maybe sip a little bit of fuel, set himself up into a position maybe to just wait for a mistake from Cope.
Yeah, we've got an hour-long race. You've got the fuel strategy to think about as we see an issue here for Michael Price, who's heading into the pits, and that is one of the McLarens, is that Tom Bingham in the pits very early on. Must be some damage there. He must have been involved in that incident, and that is our AM Championship leader, who had moved up 10 positions, is now in the pit lane fixing some damage.
Yeah, indeed, and you can see the car just pop back into position there. That is obviously him taking a free repair. It's Bingham wide. I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, he had nowhere to go. Oh, maybe he already had damage looking at back, because it didn't look like Michael Price touched him, and he was already falling back a couple of positions. So we'll see what happens there with Bingham. Because he has he now rejoined? Yes, he rejoined down in 8th in class, 36th overall.
And we'll have to see and keep an eye on that as, woo, a battle of the BMWs getting a little bit spicy here. This is Smart trying to make a move to right on the outside of turn 9. That is Right getting very, very squirrely. He is lucky that car didn't go flying.
Yeah, that was a position where Wright probably should have seen it come in and got out of it instead of trying to hang around the outside. But he's still in the race, no harm done in the end, but could have easily took out Cabello. And Lang is the quickest person on the circuit at the moment. He's set the fastest lap a lap ago, and he is trying to close in on this gap, but still only 4 seconds off the lead. And I'm not really sure what happened to Lang, because he got a great start, and then all of a sudden he's down in 6th place.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I think he just kind of got shuffled, put out of position. Remember, he made that aggressive move on Thomas Cope going down into the first chicane. But, ooh, boys, be careful! As there they separate themselves out a little bit. Wright, Caraballo, and Lang. Everybody trying to fight for the same piece of real estate.
Yeah, that's where Lucas Lang's experience of last season comes into effect, because he knows this is 10 minutes into the race. We have plenty of time still to fight, as up behind comes Valentini in the Lamborghini, and the second Lamborghini is Spessa, not far behind, McBride not far behind either. So 6 seconds covering the top 8 pro drivers at this moment in time. And the biggest lead at the moment is in the AM category for Andy Thompson, who's got a 3.5 second lead over David Gill, and that is slightly helped by the incident with Tom Bingham, but still Andy Thompson doing a great job keeping it consistent and spurting the flames out. And we've got a spin for Cabello. So Cabello is dropped out of that battle for 3rd place, and I wonder if that was something he did by himself.
Well, let's take a look. This is going down into the heel of the boot. Watching on that white Porsche. Yep, just carried a little bit too much speed through that corner, and that sends the 43 right around.
Yeah, in a sensible way to rejoin there, reversing it up to get it off the racing line. It's so easy just to be tempted to put your foot down and try and go to the inside to get out of the way, but that was sensible work there by Cabello, who now has to fight back from down in 10th in class and 13th overall, as we now look at, is it James Hall looking to try and move up in the Pro-Am category, but he has the pro car of Pascal Ebenard in front of him.
He does indeed, and Mads Hasland behind him, also looking pretty threatening in that BMW, so he's got to watch out here. This is a little bit of a train forming. Broom up ahead of them. That is that P9 in the Pro-Am category. Pascal Ebner, as you said. Here's a little bit of a fight. Hendrik Lang looking a little bit off there in the 123. He I think, had a little bit of a problem coming through the inner loop.
Yeah, I think he went straight across. Yeah, realised he wasn't going to make it and took the sensible option. Takes the sensible pill and just cuts straight across. And I apologise, I think I put the commentator's curse on Andy Thompson. His lead is now halved. It's down to 1.2 seconds. So I'm not sure what's happened for Andy there, but David Gill is on the move towards the fellow Brit.
Indeed, he is. Andy here has just got to keep it very careful. And David, I don't know about you, but I have the most respect here for Andy being able to drive the McLaren at a track like this where there is so much time where you're sort of spent feathering the throttle, waiting to get on it. That McLaren's so notorious for off-throttle oversteer. I could barely make it around here a lap and a half in that thing.
Yeah, it is very good to be able to do anything in the McLaren. It's a lovely looking car, and I've driven the GT4 version as well, and that is a wild child to try and drive. But this shows you how close these classes are. All three classes have leads of a second or less, and we're 15 minutes into this race already.
Indeed, and we've still got battles good up and down through the field. This is Regenvetter leading Tim Spesser. This is a battle between pros and AMs. Whoa, as we get a little closer here, this is Alex Fields trying to hold off Frisna there behind him in the Ferrari. And there may be a little bit of damage to the rear end of that Ferrari. I couldn't tell as it came through shot. Yeah, a little bit of damage to the back end of it, but it's not stopping him from trying to make the move on the Mercedes.
Yeah, that is a move by, so just trying to keep with it. It's I think that's yeah, Fields is in the Mercedes, dropping back there. He's lost three positions in terms of track position in those couple of corners. So we've got a spin there. That's the 43. That's Cabela again off the track, and he has now jumped to the pit. So I don't know if he has damage, which means he cannot return by his own steam. But it looks like it's a mistake by himself again, just pushing too hard.
Yeah, just pushing too hard down into the chute. It's the same thing we saw with him coming through turn 9. Very lucky he didn't collect more damage on that as there were cars behind him. Good heads up for them.
Yeah, I think that was Chris Gooch in the Ferrari who was very close and did some great driving there to avoid it. But look at this battle. We've got 2x2. It's like Noah's Ark. And the Porsche of a 1-2-3 of Lang and losing my tongue there. Shartner and Hoopermer and Gladden all in this battle, and Andrew Broom on the back of it as well. It's a mix of Lamborghinis, Audis and a couple of Porsches in this battle, so a good range of cars fighting it out over 5th place in class.
Indeed, really going at it here. The Pro-Am category being very, very tight. Here's the point where you tuck up behind in the draft a little bit. And I would start to talk about fuel saving here, but it doesn't look like anybody has that thought in their mind. They're just on full attack mode here at this stage in the race. As we watch Gladden trying to close in. Is he going to have a move into the inner loop? No, he's going to back it off a little bit.
Yeah, this battle's super close. Further back, David Gill has fallen down the field. I'm not sure what's happened to him, but Andy Thompson now has a 6.4 second lead, and I'm just trying to see if Gill has pitted. I don't think he has. I think it is literally just a mistake somewhere by David Gill has let Thompson off the hook for now.
All right, so Andy will be able to breathe a little bit easier as we keep focused in on this battle. That is Hookah Merle there. Adam Gladden trying to close in behind him a little bit. Side by side up in the pro category. Matthias Beer able to get himself around Greg Hubler in the Pro-Am BMW there. Chris Gooch in that very dented looking Porsche behind, excuse me, that was a lapped car that was in between them. Chris Gooch, the next one up on the charts. He's running around 4th in class, sort of leading that big train, although there's a little bit of breathing space in between it.
Yeah, a bit of gap there, but behind there is a huge train of Audis and Porsches breathing down his neck. But this is where, a little touch of a wall there on the exit for Gooch, so just got to be a little bit careful. He's got that year 1 racing car in front with no bonnet, so that's obviously been in some action somewhere as we look at Gladden looking to the inside of Hooper Merle, and we've got a spin there. Who is that? That is one of the Porsches.
That's Hendrik Lang.
And out of 5th place in class, and that will have definitely done some damage to the car.
Now this could be an issue of maybe bottoming out over those curves. Let's watch and see what happens. Yep, that I think is exactly what happened. A combination of a little bit too much speed coming through the 90 and then bottoming out over that big curb. That's one of the changes that was recently made here on the update, is that curb a lot more aggressive. You can't go as far out as you used to on it.
No, you can't, and it's something the drivers should be learning in their testing. And I'm quite impressed that he missed the pit exit cone, to be honest. He's ended up with a huge hit into the front of the tyre wall and somehow spun around the cone, so it is still there at the end of his lap.
The cone friend will be very happy. A little bit of side by side there in the back. I believe that is Hall and Halson's. Halson losing a position there to James Hall. That was for 9th place in this Pro-Am category. Just a gutsy move there from James Hall to be able to take that position away from the Dane.
Yeah, James Hall just trying to slowly move up the field, up 9 places so far. The biggest mover here today so far is Fernando Torres, up 17 places, up into 11th in class, 22nd overall. But he will still be wanting at least a top 10 from his class. And look how close Lucas Lang is to the back of to Adam Wright. And he's going to try and slingshot, but the BMW known for a bit more straight line speed than the Porsche, and I don't think he's going to make it around the outside of here.
He's got to be super late on the brakes to make it work, and he is not going to be later on the brakes. Indeed, he's going to brake a little bit earlier there, and he's got to be careful because that's opening up the door a little bit to Tom Valentini to be able to close behind. Now, this is all for 4th place in that top category, in that pro category, and Valentini now looking very, very threatening in that Lamborghini.
Yeah, and ever since Cabela, who had that first spin, it has released Kieran Smart, who is now only 1.5 seconds off the lead and closing in on the Niekamp Cope battle at the front.
Indeed, it is. I'm getting the sense here that Niekamp just kind of holding back here, either waiting for the opportune time, or maybe he is one of the few drivers in this field doing a little bit of fuel saving. I also love what I'm seeing here out of Kieran Smart. Smart in that BMW in the background of your shot there, just holding station behind. He's not pushing that hard. He's not really going for any crazy overtakes. He's just pedaling that car around here at exactly the speed he needs to be.
Yeah, the back marker slightly in the way of Cope there. Matt has closed these 3 right up now, and Smart only half a second, a loss of 1 second just in that final corner for the lead 2, because they had to second guess what the back marker was doing. As you can see from the lap times, Smart a 44.2, 44.9 for Niekamp, and a 45.1 for Cope. So is Cope just trying to back this field up, knowing that nobody really wants to lead at this stage?
It could be, and it could be a good strategy for him. A little bit of side-by-side in the back, though. That's Mats Halsen trying to duke it out a little bit with Ebner. Ebner gonna lose it out. What a beautiful crossover move there for Ebner. My goodness, that Audi made that look easy.
Yeah, and the Lamborghini of James Hall takes advantage to move past the BMW of Houseland as well. Took advantage, just saw what was going to happen in front, and now he's going to have a run at Ebner. But we'll just have a look back at this. It was a lovely tuck-back move into turn 1.
Yeah, it certainly was. You can see the Audi a little bit ahead there. Lamborghini moving to the inside there, trying to get everything out. A little bit later on the brakes, just sees it, recognizes it. Thank you very much. I will take that position away. Pascal Ebner doing a great job. As there you can see, as we jump around here, this looks to be Frisna. Wow, just able to get ahead of that Porsche.
Yeah, you certainly don't miss that Ferrari turning in on you with all those multicolours. We've got the 208 going slowly around the outside of the corner. So I can't quite work out if that is Michael Price, who had an incident earlier on in the race and is now a lap down with Mystique and Cowlishaw, who we saw qualifying really well here today. But Andy Thompson still leading that group, and the gap keeps fluctuating between him and Sergio, but Sergio very close to the back of him now.
Yeah, he's been able to get that gap down to under a second. It's hovering at about 0.6. Remember, a few laps ago, it was massive. So a little bit strange there, a little bit of, as you said, sort of seesawing pace back and forth between Thompson and Sergio. But we'll have to see if Sergio can close the deal here to Andy.
Yeah, here's Lucas Lang again having a look at the outside of Adam Wright. Adam knows what that move is all about now, and Lucas will have to try and pull a different trick out of his book. And right behind him is Valentini, still there, the top three in the pro category, still a second between them, less than a second covering these three cars as well. And it is Matthew McBride just ahead of Stuart Winness further behind that. So the Pro-Am category doing really well. 2 cars in the top 2, and Winness ahead of Regenwetter, which we have missed somewhere on the screen.
Indeed, Winness able to take the lead away from Regenwetter. There you see them on your screen. He's trying to build a gap. It's about 0.6 of a second right now. They've developed a healthy gap back to Greg Hubler, who sits about 3 seconds back, and also have the added benefit of Tim Spesser and Matthias Beer there in between. Those are 2 pro category drivers, and so they'll be able to breathe a little bit easier. Winness and Regenwetter, they'll be able to fight in and amongst themselves.
Yeah, that's actually quite a sedate livery choice for Matthias Beer, considering what we've seen him driving before. But it looks a great car, the Ferrari, but just not quite working out for him here today, as we're now back with the top 3, as Cope, Niekamp and Smart are all pushing on within 1/10 of a second of each other, and still pulling the gap out on the right battle at this moment in time, which is what they'll be looking for to fight after the pit stops. Now it's got up to just almost 25 minutes gone of this race. This is where we will start to see whether people want to pit that little bit early, get out of traffic, and maybe get them to clear space. But with so many cars on the circuit, it is impossible to try and find that real clear space for you to push forward.
Yeah, it certainly is. And while, that's the 123. That's Hendrik Lang around, almost reversing back onto the track in a bad situation. Looks like he just had a problem coming out of that penultimate corner. Hit the barriers for sure. There's some damage to the left front of that machine. Let's watch what happened.
Yeah, it's not the first time we've seen the 1, 2, 3 out, and the back end's just gone round. Oh, he keeps it out the one barrier, and does he keep it out and another one? Oof. The Lamborghini just about missing him, and he gets it turned round, but it turns into an Austin Powers moment of trying to turn that car around, and he will be happy to come into the pits and get any damage fixed. As we now look back at trying to get round Vos, who's in the Pro-Am category, and Andy Thompson has already got round him. So Andy Thompson trying to stretch this lead, as Frinza has a look at the back of Luce as well.
Yes, indeed, and any bit of that breathing room that Andy Thompson is able to get, he is going to want to have, as here comes Vorse on Andy Thompson down to the inside. That'll put Andy offline, and now he's got to be looking in his rearview mirror at Luce and Frisna, but Andy not giving that position up. He's going to keep fighting Vorse down into the toe of the boot.
Yeah, he's defending against a car he doesn't really need to defend against, but it is keeping that little buffer to second and third, which could be crucial when he gets to the pit stop stage, but he doesn't want to lose too much time battling Brian Vorse.
No, he certainly does not. Vorse looked like he wanted to make a move there, going down into the heel, but decided against it. Clarence spitting fire as it breaks down into the hill and now comes up through that ever-tricky turn 9. Looks like all drivers are able to keep it nice and easy together. Vorse lining up a move here, potentially.
Yeah, we haven't had many pit entries. I think Darren Doherty is one of the first who's headed for pit lane this time by. So the early pit stoppers coming in just to give it a go. Andy Thompson also in. So your AM leader is now in the pits nice and early, just trying to get away from that battle and not lose time there and then. But it does leave the door open for second and third, Luce and Anderson, to push on.
Indeed, and this is the battle for P1 in the Pro-Am category that has been swapping back and forth. Regenwetter now ahead, Wyness closing in behind, seeing what he can do to be able to put some pressure there to him. And again, we talked about this a little bit earlier, Spesser and Beer separating these two away from Greg Hubler, who is third in class overall. So these two have a little bit of a buffer to fight amongst themselves if they so choose.
Yeah, there's just that little bit of a buffer of cars, but they probably want to pull away and leave Matthias Beer and Tim Spesser just holding up Greg Hubler the best they can. As we see that is one of the Ferraris off the track. It's Chris Gooch from 5th place in class, and he has let Schartner through. Let's see what happened. It's on the exit heading up the hill, and he probably just loses the back end on the power, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Very wide there. No, it was through the through the heel rather, that he lost it there and made that contact. So just carrying a little bit too much speed, getting caught out here. We've got a little bit of a side-by-side. This is Adam Wright trying to get a little bit interested here with Lucas Lang. Yow! Down into the bus stop, and that's going to be able to be Wright that holds on to it.
Yeah, that was the first time Lang has been even slightly ahead going in there, and Adam Wright still had the ground to make up into the corner, but that's allowed Tom Valentini to have a look at the back of Lucas Lang, and Lucas Lang will have to regain his composure and close back that second gap that Wright's pulled out. That shows you how much momentum is important. The leader in the AND category, Friesner, is in. Let's see where he comes out in comparison to the leader beforehand, Andy Thompson, as the current championship leader, Tom Bingham, has moved up now into the top 5, but I think he will owe us another pit stop. He had that early stop and won't have got enough fuel in to get to the end.
Yeah, exactly. Fuel limited here in these cars a little bit to ensure that they do have that pit stop over the course of the race. Valentini here continuing to stalk behind Lucas Lang. Looks like he lost a little bit of time there through the latter sections of the boot. He's able to close in here, try to keep everything nice and together. And there comes Cope, your leader, down pit lane.
Yeah, Cope going for the earlier pit stop, making sure there's no undercut. You will not see these pro drivers especially, but most of the field will not be changing tyres in these pit stops. So it's purely down to your in-lap, out-lap, and how much fuel you put in the box.
Indeed it is, and Andy bringing that car down. We focus back here on a little bit of a battle. This is Spesser as he works his way. Excuse me, no, this is Niekamp that we are following. Smart directly behind him. This is now the battle for the lead. Here's Valentini and Lang duking it out a little bit. Lang is still able to hold ahead, and this fight has allowed for Adam Wright to be able to pull ahead of these two a little bit to the tune of about 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, Kieran Smart up front in second place is certainly using his head now and being smart and following Niekamp, because he knows if they start fighting now, that is it. Cope will be gone and there will be no chance of catching him. So Niekamp and Smart working together to try and do a good lap now to see if they can pull it into the pits and get one over on Cope.
And that's what they'll be hoping to do. It'll be interesting to see if they decide to pit this lap or extend the stint as long as possible. Maybe hope that Thomas Cope gets himself into some lapped traffic as it looks like Cope now finally back and rolling. Taking a look at that pit stop there for him. That was a long pit stop, over a minute there for Cope.
Yeah, I thought it was very weird that he was about to lose almost a lap as Niekamp and Smart both pit together. I'm not sure quite what happened there for Cope, but a huge pit lane loss. I'm just having a look at the timing screen now. Cope actually had, where's he gone? He's fallen right down the field to 23rd overall, 1 minute and 3 seconds, whereas a decent pit stop is Andy Thompson, for example, 26 seconds. So a huge time loss in the pits for Cope, and he's going to have a huge amount to try and close in. It does seem from our producer, Dennis Branch, that Cope had a penalty to deal with in that pit stop.
Oh, more than likely a pit lane speeding penalty there for him, catching out your former leader. That is going to completely change the way this race functions. By the way, we are also seeing your former leader there. Niekamp has been in and out. Adam Wright now leading. Good little battle here in the back. This is for 30th overall. Doherty trying to fight it out with Broom ahead of him.
Yeah, that shows you the difference with that penalty. Niekamp comes out in 9th place. Kieran Smart, 10th place. Thomas Cope, 23rd overall, 11th in class. So Cope with a lot of work to do. And it's so easy to do with this pit lane if it is a pit lane speeding penalty, because you come in at trying to get a tight angle, but the pit lane line is pretty much straight away as you get to the end of the pit wall.
Yeah, it really is, and catching out one of the more experienced drivers in the field, it just shows that nobody is immune to any of these mistakes around here. Cope now with all of the work to do, 11th in class, he is just going to have to fight tooth and nail to try to get himself back forward, as now Wright and Lang both pit.
Yeah, right. Lang, McBride following them in. Will Anders Lear Jordet be able to carry on another lap? It'll be tight if he can. Ebner is ahead of Niekamp as well, so we'll just see if Lear Jordet will pit. He was 20 seconds behind this battle, and he does. So, yeah, this is probably the stretch of where the GT cars can get to in this race.
As we said, limited fuel cells here for these cars. That is by design by the series organizers to make sure we do get these pit stops. There you can see Wright and the rest of them at rest in their box right now. Ooh, somebody there in the back. I'm not sure who that was. I think that may have been Wyness missing his pit stall and having to reverse. That'll cost him a couple of seconds.
Yeah, it's certainly something that the drivers have to watch out for. Oh, side by side, Lucas Lang, and that will be Adam Wright, and is Lang finally got him. What a race off pit lane that was. I'd love to see the start of that again, but let's see who does it up the drag towards the chicane. Lang will have the inside line, but Adam Wright forcing him over, making it as tight as possible. Who will turn in first? It's Lucas Lang who turns in first, and he finally gets past Adam Wright.
Well, and that'll be a huge relief there to him. That battle was absolutely raging for the entirety of the race, although it doesn't look like Adam Wright is necessarily letting that go quietly. As you said, let's go back and check out that replay of them coming out of the pits. That's going to be Lang ahead, right behind, waiting for them to get done with their fuel service.
Yeah, it was Wright who actually left the pit box first, but Lang didn't have that extra little gap where he had to keep the pit lane speed limiter on, and that was enough to get him side by side. Brilliant driving by both of them to get out of the pit lane without crossing the yellow line, and then the battle resumed up the hill.
Yeah, exactly, and that was just absolute racing there between the two, but it looks like Wright trying to fight back a little bit. Ooh, a little bit of a love tap there coming through turn 9.
Yeah, Wright's showing that he wants that third position back off Lucas Lang, and he will be trying everything, both very wide through that second to last corner, and that will let Valentini know that they're pushing as hard as possible. Just looking at the other class, it's Aske who leads in Pro-Am from Stuart Wyness and Greg Hubler. Regan Wetter down in 4th place. So how has Aske done that? Has he pitted? I'm just having a look at the timing screen. Yeah, he has. He pitted on lap 2 for 6 seconds, so he had a quick repair and will need to pit again. So that's why he has popped up in the lead at the moment. But currently, Hubler has got ahead of Regenwetter, and the same in the AM category. Thomas Bingham has been driving well, but had an early pit stop, so he will probably need another pit stop. He won't be able to save the fuel that well. So it'll be Frisnat who leads the class in the Ferrari just behind Luca Anderson, and then Andy Thompson, who had lost a lot of time in the pit stop, so I don't know if there's an issue there for him as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure as well. It could have been something there happening to Andy, as you see him on your screen. He is currently trying to hold off. That's Henrik Lang there directly behind him. Oh, we've got a car into the barriers. That's loose.
Navrar loose, 296 Ferrari is in the wall on the second to last corner by the looks of it. And let's see what's happened to the American in the Team Western Racing car. And it's the same as we've seen by others, just loses back end, but this time he doesn't catch it before wall, and he's in there, and we caught him in the opposite barrier as he was trying to rejoin. But he's got it back into 6th place at the moment and into the pits.
Yes, indeed he does, as this is Matthias Beer that you watch, currently being chased down a little bit by Stuart Wyness. This is an inter-class battle. Wyness is in 2nd place for the Pro-Am category. Beer in 7th place for the Pros. A little bit of a wide run there for Matthias Beer. That's not going to sit well with him, but it looks like Wyness not able to capitalize here at this point. And as you said, Aska coming down pit lane right there. You were right on that call.
and Hubler is following him in. Now, why does Greg Hubler need to pit again? He did not pit that long ago. Has there been a mistake with the fuel? No, he was in for 22 seconds beforehand. So is there a penalty there for Greg Hubler?
It might be. It looks like he's coming to rest in his box, so that could be indicative of a pit lane speeding penalty for him.
Yeah, he would have picked that up on the exit, because if not, he would have been able to serve it on his pit stop. As we now look back at Matthias Beer, who has slowly but surely moved himself up the pro. That's a 181. Darren Doherty off at that second to last corner again. One of the corners which isn't the most difficult corners on the circuit, but it's almost like there's oil out there today.
Yeah, it really is. Doherty just comes through too much speed, loses it. Oh, and who is that? That's one of the McLarens in front of him.
Is that Thompson or it's Tom Bingham? It's Tom Bingham, the championship leader, who dominated at Sebring, is in the pits, and he also lost it on that corner.
Oh my goodness gracious, what a surprise there for him. Matthias Beer, we focus back in on Wyness trying to come in behind. Let's go back and check out the replay here. This is what happened to Bingham. Is it just the same thing that we've seen? Yeah, the car just gets twitchy, almost catches it, and then hard into the tire barriers.
Yeah, the drivers coming around the corner must be wondering what's going on with two of them off there. But I think that has given us a category of about 7 cars spinning in exactly the same way on that corner. And it's quite unusual. You might expect it on, say, the corner before or the final corner. But that corner is normally quite a simple corner for these GT cars.
Yeah, it's relatively flat out. You just kind of have to lift maybe a quick dab of the brake if you're not able to get it turned down correctly, but not necessarily a corner that I would be surprised to see them getting out of sorts on. And specifically there in particular, if we were seeing it at other places of the track as well, I would sort of understand it, but just a weird series of events there, David.
Yeah, it's all in the sort of second half of the corner, but you should already be back on the power by then, so it's a very weird one. As we now look at Haslan harrowing the German Hooper Merley up towards the chicane. The Audi will have the inside line and will probably hold on to this position over the curves. He's just got to miss that inside barrier, and the BMW tucks in back behind.
Yeah, BMW tucks back in behind, loses a little bit of time. Not the best exit there out of the inner loop. Gonna have to try to regain here a little bit and try to push that Audi as best as possible. And this may be a situation where if you're able to hassle that Audi, we kind of touched on it earlier, doesn't necessarily like riding the curbs as much as other cars, so there could be a way to kind of get in the head and force a mistake there out of Hoeka Merkel.
Yeah, there's certainly the opportunity there, as Doherty is back in the pits, and I think that might be his race run, as he did leave the pits and come back in again. There's a Ferrari in the pits there. That is Luce, I think. No, Alan Mystique still in the pits. He's been in there for 11 minutes, so I don't think we'll be seeing him return to the circuit. As we now look at Andrew Broome fighting off Brian Vorse, the American in the Audi, trying to steal 12th in class off the Brit. Broome just trying to defend down. Does he go slightly inside? No, he doesn't, but Vorse does not make his way through under braking.
And I thought there coming through the toe of the boot that was going to be a door open for Vorse to be able to make that move happen, but Broome able to hold him off well enough to make sure that he's not able to, and he's going to keep this line in here like this. Let's see if everybody's able to avoid the same problems we've been having in that penultimate corner. Looks like Broome and Vorse both able to be okay.
Yeah, just looking back at the AM category, Tom Bingham has rejoined and is still 5th in class, so that shows you the not chaos, but the issues the AM category have been having here today. 57 seconds off the leader in Class B. He is still in the top 5 as we see the 73 there spinning out. That was Pascal Emnar, who is the last of the running pro category drivers.
Yeah, and he finds himself currently 20th overall right now as we focus back in on that battle. Vorse able to get himself all by in that Audi.
Yeah, he's managed to make his way through. Andrew Broome looking to fight back, but not going to be able to. There's a Ferrari just coming up behind.
Oh,
I think that's a lap down. Oh, that was Vorse getting it completely wrong in the middle of a chicane.
Yeah, it was indeed. And so that's going to hand the position rather back to Andrew Broom. And now Vorse is going to have to try this all over again. And indeed, that is a lapped Ferrari behind. The car behind them in position is Stefan Anderson, who is currently about 7 seconds behind, who is second overall in the AM category.
Yeah, just looking at the time on the screen, I think we've had about 5 retirements so far from this race. Tim Bellum, Moyes Cabello, David Gill doesn't seem to be returning to the track, Colin Sampson, and Patrick Eimer, the driver's not still going around. Alan Mystique a little further down will move forward. He is back out of the pits, but a long way down, I think 8 laps down.
We just see there, that is Tim Spesser able to hold out ahead of Stuart Wyness right now. Wyness currently the leader in the Pro-Am category. He's got a gap of about 7 seconds over Regenvetter behind him, so doesn't necessarily need to worry nearly as much about anything. It looks like Brian Vorse coming down pit lane here and maybe picked up some undercarriage damage, or let's see, did he have, oh no, don't tell me another mistake coming through the penultimate corner.
It looks like it, yeah, the back end's gone already and straight into that wall. And I mean, the poor Marshall's trying to rebuild that tyre barrier of it today. That is number 10. I think at least I'm going to have to go back and watch this and try and recount them, because that's the ones we've seen. So it's been a chaotic race. But just while we've got a little pause in the action, we do have to say thank you to our sponsors here on the GT Trophy coverage. That's Apex Racing Academy, who have, if you join them, you can get 29 data packs, setups, track guides, integrate it with your virtual racing school account, weekly group coaching sessions, and so much more. It's something that I'm part of as well, as we now see the 208 rejoining. That's Price, who has spun but keeps 6th place in class. As I say, the Apex Racing Academy, a great way to get the setups and get that little bit of help you may need to move up the field.
Exactly. It is a fantastic service to be able to use. I know I use it quite often, and it tells me just how slow I am and why I'm slow. So it helps me out in great ways.
Yeah, but it's whether you learn from that, isn't it? I'm very good at going, oh, look, I'm slow there, and I'm still slow there. But that's not down to their training, that's down to me.
Exactly. It's all down to personal thing. VRS, a fantastic service. I highly recommend it as we focus back here on a little bit of a fight. This is Adam Wright and Tom Valentini. This is for 4th in the pro category and 4th overall. Valentini giving a little bit of a fade there down to the inside of the heel of the boot. Maybe just trying to see if he can force Wright off the line. Yeah,
Wright must be... I don't think Wright has looked forward once in this race. He has been watching his mirrors all through the race. Lucas Lang all over him, and now it's on Valentini. And it is just not... Wright seemed to have the pace in qualifying, but just hasn't had the pace in the race to really push on. And it's quite surprising from a BMW. We saw that as a dominant car in 2021, the car which everybody sort of wanted to pick. Last season in the GT Pros, I think it was still quite a popular car, but the Lamborghini sort of took over as the dominant car, and it just maybe the balance of power has just not worked in its favor compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, indeed. Just not as strong as it used to be, but it certainly looks like Valentini here trying to take advantage of that reduced balance of performance. Going to try to go around the outside. He's got more speed, but he's got to be later on the brakes. It's going to favor Adam Wright in the BMW for now, but Valentini looking very, very aggressive. He wants that 4th position in class.
Yeah, you'd expect Adam Wright not to be able to defend that well, because that edge of a barrier, you've got to be so pinpoint accurate to miss the edge of that barrier on the entrance of the chicane. But he's done it so many times now in this race for another 10 minutes. He knows what he's doing now. As we look, this is a battle for 4th place overall, and in the pro category, the top 3 have gone. Just looking at a little further back, Thomas Cope, 144.3, one of the quickest men on circuit at the moment, back up into the top 10 in class, 12th overall, and he has 2 more cars to get. He's just got Anders Lea Jordet just gone out of shot in front of you. You can see him just turning into the next corner there. That is his next target in the pro category to move up into 9th.
Well, and as we tick down here with about 12 minutes to go left in the session, he is going to have it all cut out for him as they go. This is a nice little battle that we have. This is Fernando Torres barely holding off James Hall. This is for 5th overall in that Pro-Am category right now.
And this is what myself and Andy Thompson, who was part of the commentary crew for the GT Pros last year, said Fernando Torres is a driver who just turns up. He may look, you know, slightly off the pace, but he's constantly improving. He gave the pro category a brilliant go last year and has changed to the Mercedes this year, which was a surprising choice for me, but he's decided to do so. And he was sitting around 10th place in the category, and now he's moved up on other people's mistakes and his overall pace, and he's now sitting in 5th ahead of James Hall, Hooper Merkel, Hasland, who's been ahead of him for most of the race. And what I haven't noticed is Greg Hubler down in 10th in class. He was fighting for the lead earlier on.
Yes, he was down 10th in class. A not great position there for him, but as we focus on Torres, looking like he's pulling a little bit of a gap here over James Hall, so that'll be a little bit of a relief there for him. Here is Thomas Cope, speaking of drivers on a recovery drive. He's been able to get that gap down under 6 seconds here to Louis Jourdet as he tries to get a top 10 out of what is a dismal day for him.
Yeah, Cope will be looking to maybe use this as one of his drop scores, but he's going to keep pushing because the amount of mistakes we've seen so far, anything could happen in the next 10 minutes if we want, not quite Stingray, but it's anything can happen in the next 10 minutes. And Cope is up into 10th place and just trying to close down on Leah Jourdet. And if he gets Leah Jourdet, Spessa is only a second ahead of that.
Yes, he is. So plenty of time to be able to try to do that. Almost 10 minutes left. He'll have to really put the pedal down to try to do it. Here is Stuart Wyness, who is your leader in that Pro-Am category right now. Good gaps all the way around, although he is trying to hold off Louis Jourdet. And as for Cope, he just wants to see these two continue to fight, as that will bring him in closer and closer.
Yeah, it's a fight that Stuart Wyness doesn't really need to be involved in, if I've got to be perfectly honest. He's got a bit of a 7-second lead over Regretter. I would be letting Leah Jourdet go. It's not a position that he needs to be fighting in or taking a risk, but Leah Jourdet might just make a mistake, which we haven't seen from Leah Jourdet over the last season and a half. But if he does make a mistake and just ends up wiping Wyness out, as you can see now, Wyness literally doing what I said, pulling to the side and just letting Leah Jourdet go because it's not his fight. He doesn't need to worry about it.
No, he really doesn't, and that's, I think, a little bit of the big brain thinking that he may need to do, but I will tell you, David, you try to tell that to a racer of don't fight a car that's close to you, and it's a lot harder said than done. Yeah,
it's impossible to do, to be honest. I've always said with racing, whatever class you're in, you're fighting everybody around you, as we now go back to Adam Wright, who has been fighting for the last 51 minutes. It was Lang first, now Valentini, as we say, and he's still holding off that Lamborghini and doing a great job in the BMW. We have a BMW in first, second and fourth here today. So there's us telling you that the BMW's got a bit slower because of balance of performance, and we've got 3 of them in the top 4.
Sometimes there's only so much you can do with balance performance if the car is just good. But we continue to watch your Valentini not poking his nose this way and that, even though we are under 10 minutes to go. I think it is starting to be now or never time. Is he maybe just waiting for the opportune moment here, or seeing if he can maybe make things easy and force a mistake?
Yeah, very much possible. Tom Cope, a 44 flat that time by. He is absolutely flying, taking a second a lap out of Leah Jourdet, so he will be up in that battle very, very shortly.
Yeah, indeed he will, as they go. Focusing here on Thomas Cope, that gap down to about 3 seconds, so he is certainly starting to close.
Yeah, looking at the other battles, we have Adam Gladden and Roland Schartner, who are 3rd and 4th in the Pro-Am category, ahead of Fernando Torres, who is the biggest mover up today, 24 positions overall in position, so that is a great drive by Torres. But Gladden and Schartner not far apart from each other, and that could close to a battle towards the end of this race, but the closest battle at this moment is Wright and Valentini, and up at the front, Kieran Smart trying to close in on Newcamp.
Yeah, doing his best to try to close that down a little bit. The gap only about a second. We'll keep an eye on that for you as we tick down here. Under 7 minutes to go, or thereabouts. Riding on board with Tom Valentini, avoiding those inside curves a little bit. This is pretty close for him. We've seen him not quite this close, although it looks like that BMW gets a little bit of a better launch off of the final corner. That is going to help Adam Wright keep things at bay for now.
Yeah, the traction of that BMW really good out of that final corner, and it's about getting as close to that barrier as you can, which he did do. And Valentini is really pushing on and trying to improve his position here at Watkins Glen, but I think it's going to be really tough to get past Wright, who's been defending all race through. And here we go again. Wright will stick to the white line on the inside, send Valentini around the outside, and the Lamborghini, has it got the pace for the overlap? Not quite. But will Valentini, if it gets to the last lap and it's that position, just send it around the outside?
I mean, he may have to do it. That may be what we are looking at coming down to as we get closer and closer to that white flag lap. Valentini just looks like he has the pace to be able to keep everything up here. I believe that's some lap traffic up ahead of them as well, so that could present a little bit of an opportunity here for Tom Valentini. Indeed, that is one of the McLarens. I'm not sure if that's Bingham or it's Bingham up ahead of them, so that could present a little bit of a chance.
Yeah, that is Bingham, who is still on his recovery drive in class, and I think 5th place will be a great result for him so far. But here are the leaders, and that's Valentini looking around the outside of Wright. Will he be able to hang around the outside? Not this time. And Wright will continue to hold on to that position, but Valentini really pushing on. The gap at the front, though, Smart is less than a second behind Newcamp, and the Scot will be looking to try and put a move on the Dutchman in these last 6 minutes.
He most certainly will as he tries to pull it back down. It expands out to about a second as they break down into the corner. Now hurrying it back up again. Camp trying to just keep that gap at bay to the best of his ability, but it's going to be tricky. They too have some lap traffic that they'll have to deal with here in the final 5 minutes.
Yeah, lap traffic coming into effect, but not as much as I expected with the 42 car grid. And I've got to be honest, mega impressed with the driving standards. Yes, we've had that tricky fine second to last corner all through race, but how the 42 cars got through the opening couple of laps without major incident is just remarkable, and it just shows skill of all 42 drivers in the field as Valentini again looks to the outside, but Wright knows that move's coming, and Valentini's going to have to just try something somewhere else now.
Yeah, I think he's got to try to send a little bit of a sneak attack there. Wright, as you said, knows exactly where that move's coming, but here it is. Bingham slowing him down just a little bit. That could be the entrance that Valentini needs. There's the flash of the headlights. Tries to get out of the way there, does Bingham. It looks like he's able to do it nice and cleanly. Not going to be able to affect a pass there for Valentini as they continue to go. That's Wright being very defensive. Valentini's going to have to go the long way around the heel.
Yeah, Valentini to the outside like we saw before. This is a different kind of move. He needs to try and move. Does he go too wide this time? He's very wide. I wonder if he will keep that place because he has technically taken it off the circuit, and I'm sure Adam Wright will have something to say about that.
I'm sure he will, but the iRacing rules there on that corner, the off tracks have been expanded. So unless he picked up a slowdown penalty by doing that, it doesn't look like he will have any problems necessarily. Looking to see, I don't see a black flag for him, so I think he was able to escape that scot-free.
Speaking about Scots, Kieran Smart, half a second off Newcamp. He's closed that gap right down, and this is the last chance really for the Team Scotland Scott Track car to get up into the lead of this race. He's right up behind the Dutchman, and look at that gap. It was a second. We got Christian Engelhardt and Chris Gooch visiting pit lane very late on in the day. That must be for damage, I can only think so. But we do have the battle. There's Valentini to the inside, but doesn't quite make it, and Wright able to defend whether it's left or right.
Very impressive there from Adam Wright. We saw just how hard it was for Valentini to try to get that move done around the outside. Wright making it look a hair easy, dare I say. He's able to be back and secure that 4th place once again.
Great driving by Adam Wright. And while we've had Niekamp, Smart, Cope, Lang all driving really well, personally, my driver of the day has to be Adam Wright. What a defensive drive it has been. We always say it's not always about the overtaking in racing. You can still have a great race without loads of overtaking. We've had loads of overtaking, and we've had a brilliant defensive drive, tactical drive by Adam Wright.
Yeah, indeed, we have. Just absolutely perfect as your leader's about ready to cross the line. I think this is going to be close. Yeah, there you see him weaving a little bit. This is going to be very close on if that's white flag or not.
I've got a feeling we're going to have 2 to go here because they came across the line. They're doing 1 minute 43, 1 minute 44s, and they came across with 1 minute 44 to go. So it's going to be very, very close. We don't have it to the 10th of a second, but iRacing will, and I think we may have another lap to go after this.
Well, that's going to be a bit of a blessing there for Kieran Smart as he'll get 2 bites at the apple to try to see if he can do anything as your 2 leaders dive down into the inner loop. Smart trying to keep that nice and close behind, the gap hovering at about 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, it's super close. Valentini looking to the outside. Has he learnt from Wright last time by? No, Wright still defends. And Wright just knows if he can throw it into that chicane ahead, he could just stop the car on the apex and he will be through, and Valentini will have no response. But we have seen Valentini also fighting into the heel of the boot, where we now see Kieran Smart still having a go as they head down towards the heel of the boot. Can he have a look into here? Not quite yet. He will know if this is a white flag, and the cars are coming round. I do think they're going to have 1 more to go. Niekamp may have, I know this sounds strange, but may have just misjudged that. Some cars may have misjudged the extra lap that this track is going to need, and that could bring fuel into play.
Exactly. My thoughts exactly there, David. This could be very interesting. We could see some drivers running out of fuel on this final lap. If this is indeed the final lap, there you see a little bit of a weave. White flag is in the air.
But we did have an extra lap. That must have been by 10ths of a second, and so wide by Niekamp and Smart. I think both drivers weren't 100% sure it was going to be the white flag there, because that looked very wide by both of them. But it's given Smart a great run. The slipstream's there. It's 0.3 of a second. It's coming down. It's coming down. The weaving is started by Niekamp. He's not going to be close enough, but can he get the run through the chicane to have a dive somewhere else?
Well, he's certainly going to try to. Is Smart. It looks like Niekamp's able to get a pretty good run there through the corner into the outer loop. Here comes Valentini trying again on that run. Is he going to have to be the latest of the late breakers to pull this off, or is Wright going to be able to hold it? Wright is going to be able to hold it as they go through the inner loop.
Yeah, that was the closest. Valentini did actually get 4th place for a fraction of a second that time round, but it just wasn't enough. We need a split screen on these guys, and Lucas Lang in the middle is just saying, well, I've got a perfectly quiet last lap, but here we go. A little bit of slipstream for Niekamp heading up towards the heel of the boot. Will this fry get out of the way? No, it won't. It may be a little bit of an issue for Niekamp as he comes through with 3 corners to go.
I believe that's Paul Collishaw there, so that could present a little bit of a problem. It's going to be all that Smart can hope for. A little bit slow there through the corner. There you see the Ferrari getting out of the way. We'd be there, able to hold it on. I think he'll be able to close this in if he doesn't run out of fuel. He's got it through the final corner, waiting for Smart to make that final attack. And is there anything in it? No, there is not. It's going to be Niekamp taking victory here.
Yes, great battle between the two. Lucas Lang will take 3rd. Who will take 4th? It is going to be Adam Wright if he gets the exit from his corner. Valentini threw everything, including the kitchen sink at him, but could not make it past the BMW, who drove defensively for 1 hour straight. We're now looking at Leah Jordet coming round towards the end of the lap. He's trying to get past Spesser for the final position. There's Tom Cope just behind, who has caught him but just ran out of laps, and that speeding penalty has really cost him as he spins out the final corner and into the pit lane, actually. So race goes from bad to worse for Cope, but he can't lose any more positions, so he just needs to get across the line for points. There is Stuart Winness, who will win the Pro-Am category ahead of Regan Wetter. That's been a battle all race long, and we'll be waiting for Adam Gladden to take the final spot on the podium. And here in the AN category, it's Friesner ahead of Anderson, but the gap is quite large between these drivers, so Anderson will come through a little bit later on, or has Anderson ran out of fuel maybe? On the timing screen, he has jumped to the pits, and has he ran out of fuel? No, he finished earlier on. That's how far Friese was ahead. So the podium is decided in AM. Friese wins it from Anderson, and our very own Andy Thompson making it onto the podium in third place.
A great run there for the drivers. My goodness gracious. Really good battles up until the end of the race, just waiting for the last couple of drivers to cross over now. Let's run you through that final finishing order here today. There you can see we beneath Camp Kieran Smart and Lucas Lang taking those top three positions. Adam Wright able to hold out over Tom Valentini, McBride, Bier, Spesser, Lily Jordette, Stuart Wyness able to take that Pro-Am victory away from Christoph Regenwetter. Thomas Cope, an admirable recovery drive after that very, very rough pit stop there for him. Adam Gladden's going to round out your podium in the Pro-Am category. Schartner, Torres, Hall, Hasland, and Aska, they're down into 18th. There you can see Friesna able to take that victory in the AM category. Also, Stefan Anderson and Andy Thompson rounding out your podium for the AM drivers. Bingham only good enough for 27th overall. A very, very close race as we run you through there. Some of the drivers who had a little bit rougher of a day out there. So very, very tough to see. But let's go ahead and bring up your winner on the day. We beneath Camp, who ran an absolutely incredible race, withstanding some pressure there at the end. That had to be a good one.
It was great, mate. It was bloody amazing.
Well, I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, how worried were you at the end coming in with that pressure from Kieran Smart? Were you driving in your mirrors a lot, or were you just running your own lines?
I was running my own lines, but I did under fuel at the pit stop, so I had to fuel save a bit during the and manage the gap. So I felt the pressure, but I thought I was in control. I just was unlucky with some back markers.
Well, you mentioned fuel saving. Talk to me a little bit about that final lap. It looked like you were maybe trying to weave a little bit to try to slow things down. Were you really tight on it, or did you plan for that final lap of fuel?
I did plan for the final lap of fuel, and I ended up going over the line with 0.5 liters or something.
Well, you managed to nail it there, my friend. A great win today. Well-fought victory across the board. Anybody you'd like to thank?
You guys for the broadcast and the league you guys put up, and my teammate Adam who came in for fourth. I think he became fourth, right? He's fourth.
Yes, he did.
So he did an amazing job after his not very good first race.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much, and congratulations once again, my friend.
Cheers, mate.
All right, we've got a couple of interviews lined up. David, anybody you'd like to speak with?
I think we have to speak with Stuart Winness, who has won the Pro-Am category here today. And Stuart, that wasn't the easiest battle you will have all season, but between you, Regenwetter, and I think Hubler was up there at one point, it was a close battle.
Yeah, evening guys. I didn't even think I'd be in this battle for the lead tonight. In practice, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be quite far back in the mid pack, but kept my nose clean sometimes, and then but at the end, I no tires left. I was struggling. I was really struggling at the end.
Now, we saw a load of incidents on the second to last corner. Did you have any issues with that corner throughout the race? Did it feel like slippier than normal? Because we saw a lot of people losing the back end. I think over 10 people ended up in that one wall.
No, I didn't have any problem because I'd done, I think, an IMSA race during the week, and I noticed it was really slidey coming through that corner, so I took caution tonight and just drove inside myself.
Well, that confirms to us that there was something about that corner, but at least you sort of looked ahead for it. You've now won this race. Looking forward to the next round. Are you sort of looking at a championship challenge now, or are you still thinking, right, I just won a top 10 for this season?
I wouldn't even think about the next round is at Daytona, so I think I thought I'd struggle here tonight, so I don't know what would happen at Daytona. We'll give the championship a go, but a top 10 I'd be proud of myself. Like,
And before we let you go, is there anybody you want to say a shout out to?
just the normal track team Scotland. We're doing okay, I think, tonight, so good for all them.
And that is Stuart Winness, your winner in the Pro-Am category. Thank you very much.
See you later, guys.
All right. Well, I want to bring up the man who was running incredibly well across the entire race and ultimately able to win that amateur category. Eden, a great run out there. It looked like it was pretty smooth sailing at the end, and it looks like just everything broke your way.
Yeah, I managed to get some luck in the end. Very lucky. I caused a bit of an accident at the start as well, which I should apologise for. But yeah, it works out in the end.
Well, talk to me about when in the race did you really start to think, oh man, this is possible. I can do this. I mean, like we said, there were a lot of good breaks that came your way and you were able to just kind of eke it out, I guess.
I think it was when my team told me I'd get a fast repair. So yeah, jumped in, jumped straight back out and carried on.
Well, you carried on well. And I guess looking ahead, we head to Daytona next, obviously a little bit more of a draft circuit as well as for the rest of the season. Is this something that you're aiming to repeat? Are you looking championship wise? Or are you taking things just kind of race by race?
No, I'm definitely looking to win this one. If I can. We'll see what happens.
Well, I love the mentality on it. I'm not going to lie. I've talked to so many folks that are just, oh, no, it's race by race. So it's good to hear that you're going for the championship.
There was some brilliant confidence there, and then it just dripped near the end of it. Yeah, I'm going to win.
We'll see what happens. No, I'm definitely going for the win.
Well, fantastic, my friend. Is there anybody you would like to thank for this victory today?
No, not really. Just myself.
Well, fantastic. Thank you and congratulations once again, my friend.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
That has to be one of the quickest downcast bits ever heard. Yeah, I'm going to win the championship. Maybe. But yeah, what an event we had. I don't think we're going to have time for any more interviews. So, DJ, if you want to wrap up what you thought of the race here at Watkins Glen.
Well, I think once again, this is just an incredible series that we've seen close battles up and down throughout the entire field here today. It really goes to show you the level of driving commitment that is here. And we were able to avoid any of the massive kerfluffles that we were sort of dreading coming up against. It was truly a fantastic race, and I can't wait for Daytona.
Yeah, Daytona with another bus stop chicane, which causes instance and controversy. So at Daytona, that will be very interesting to see who comes out on top. But we have seen in these first two rounds a range of people running at the front and nobody running away with any championship at this moment.
No, none at all. But we will be back next week at the same time for that round at Daytona. On behalf of everyone here today, myself, DJ Clark, David Whitehouse, my fellow commentator, and Dennis Branch, our producer behind the scenes, we would like to thank you for joining us on Apex Racing TV. And until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.